Hey everyone, welcome back to Low Budget Logistics, your logistics and supply chain explainer. Today, welcome back. It's been kind of a bit. I had a bit of a medical issue. I don't scratch your poison ivy; it could get infected. It's really bad when it does. But anyways, we're back. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all the stuff. I know that I'm really terrible about that, but it really does help the channel because supply chain as a thing on YouTube is really small. So we need all the help we can get. But today we're going to be talking about a very interesting subject. It's supply chain AI, or AI in the supply chain, and a lot of sort of the implications of what it is and how it might be useful in the future. Now, supply chain as a thing creates a bunch of data, and it is difficult for supply chain managers, for supply chain professionals to understand what data is important and why it might be important. Now, we sort of get around that by having a bunch of experience and trying to find ways to kind of utilize a pre-experience to sort of extrapolate the whole. So in a lot of ways, I've sort of talked about this. For me specifically, I can really easily tell when a shipment will be late or is lost just by looking at scans and looking for like one or two scans in particular in the tracking information on a shipment. Now, why does that happen? Well, because I've looked at thousands of shipments over the years. I have like a decade of time in the supply chain. I know what I'm looking for, and I'm able to kind of easily make guesses and forecasts and predictions based off of what I see in that data. The problem, though, is that not everyone has that level of experience. So if you're new, you're going to have to figure out how to get that. And it's just going to come by looking at thousands of shipments over time. But let's say right, in the world that we live in now, customer experience is everything. Customer service is super important, especially for an e-commerce retailer, just who most of you are. And so we are trying to get ahead of the curve as much as possible by identifying shipments that might become late earlier in the process. Now, if you work at a large e-commerce retailer, and I have, you might be shipping millions of packages a month. Each one of those individual packages has thousands of data points that are associated with it, either because of volume or pricing or add-ons or what have you. But there's also internally to your carrier, there will be a multitude of scans that are suppressed that you don't even see. Now, you might have access to them if you have an API connection, but that's effectively, it's more information than any one person or team of people could realistically sift through in the amount of time that's needed to sift through it. That is where AI comes into play. So AI, like I said, the supply chain generates a lot of data. I'm really going to talk specifically about parcel because for me, that's where it generates the most, but warehouses certainly generate a ton of data. Procurement, all those things. There's a lot of other data that exists in the supply chain. And so, but we're going to really focus on parcel because it's sort of what I know. Now, AI has the ability to sort of utilize machine learning in a way that it can reasonably look through all of your information, all of your shipments, every single, millions of pieces of information across hundreds of thousands of shipments in a relatively short amount of time. And it might be able to make some assumptions based off of those scans, right? So in a matter of minutes, an AI model can actually look through shipments and get more experience than even someone who might have decades in the supply chain. And it could say, hey, these shipments are going to be a problem because of whatever it's looking at, whatever things it's going in. So either it's saying, hey, this particular node has issues once volume exceeds a certain amount, or it has problems on this day, or something else in the scans themselves. It can actually look through, right? It can be connected to an API and pull all of that information and run through it very quickly. Modern technology is amazing. And what it will do, right, you can tell the AI, hey, bring to me the most likely issues that I might see. And it will highlight them And what you can do as part of the kind of customer service chain is to provide that information and get ahead of things and say, hey, customer, your shipment's going to be late, but don't worry, we're working on it. We know it's lost and we have proactively reshipped you a new shipment, and here's that new tracking number. Or you can say, hey, we're working on it, give us a couple days. Being proactive with customers is always the better idea. It's always the best thing to do. And so you can actually get ahead of things by utilizing some sort of large language model or AI machine learning. I'm going to use those terms interchangeably. I know there's differences. But by using some sort of machine learning tool, you can actually get ahead of a lot of that stuff. Now, if you're new to the supply chain, you will probably utilize this probably more than anyone like me. What I tend to do, right, as an experienced shipping manager, is I tend to focus more on relationships with the carriers, and I use analysts to sort of do the work, kind of grunt work for me. But what they can do is actually get ahead of things by creating questions that they can ask to those AI tools and bring that information back. Now, one kicker is that you, as a supply chain professional, will need to understand what that data is telling you and why it's important. Now, this has been a thing in the supply chain for a long time, is understanding which pieces of data are important for you and which things are not. And that's going to kind of vary based off of your industry and what you care about and what you're actually selling and shipping. But it will be important. Now, supply chain AI in the supply chain has not really been fully fleshed out. It's been AI sort of as a thing became a thing last year. And so a lot of the implications for the supply chain are still sort of in the air. I can tell you that there's a lot of things that are being pondered at some higher levels. And there's a lot of tech companies in the supply chain that are investing in it now to kind of get ahead of things. So you may not, right, if you are a shipper who has a low budget, which is probably why you're watching this channel, you may not have to do as much investing as you might think, because maybe a parcel auditor or something of the like that you're already using is already working on developing tools for either AI or machine learning, and they may be able to provide you those tools at low or no cost. So that's good news, at least for you. You're able to kind of get ahead of things and utilize those tools effectively. Also know that a lot of things you're going to need to ask the right questions, and that's where you as a human being are going to kind of be required to think and use your own brain. Other things that will be important for you is that you never want your tools to be making decisions for you. So you always want them to be able to highlight information that you will then need to make a decision on, because your AI does not know your business. It doesn't know your profit, it doesn't know your margin, it doesn't know any of the other things that are going on. It simply knows what you have asked it. It only knows the data. You, as the human, need to make that step from what is actionable and what needs to actually take action. You need to take action on. That's a hard thing to learn. But AI in the supply chain, at least sort of as we get, I don't think it's going to happen. There's not going to be kind of major waves that make major changes in 23, but I think in 24, especially mid 24, mid next year, I think that there will be a lot more copilots, assistants, AI assistants that will become more mainstream for supply chains. And I think that what sort of the offset of that is that carriers will need to find ways to enable those plugins directly with some sort of either auditing system or certainly an internal automation system for your shippers. So kind of beware of that. It's interesting. It's on the horizon. There's a lot of use cases for it. I've only talked about one in this video, but I certainly think that across the supply chain, there's certainly a lot of ways to make someone who's inexperienced way more experienced really quickly, and within a matter of months, you might have decades worth of experience of someone like me, and without having to slog through looking at thousands of shipments. So I think there's lots of interesting things for it. I think that if you are in supply chain technology right now, I know that there are some of you who are, I think that you should be looking at and investing in things, and you should proactively come up with use cases for your companies, for your customers, if you haven't already thought of that. So interesting idea, interesting conversations. I'd love for you to kind of give me some comments down below. And all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.